In the previous lessons, we've had the opportunity to learn how to mark in and out points in our clips and bring clips into our timeline. What we're going to work with now is enhancing our story by bringing in some voiceover narration and working with audio for the very first time. So now, let's bring some narration into our viewer. Instead of clicking and dragging it, let's just right-click on it and open in Viewer. As you see, when you bring an audio file into the viewer window, it looks a lot different than working with a video file. For instance, we can see the waveform of the narrator, and this allows us to do something very specific. We can really fine-tune exactly where we want the narrator to start talking to mark our in points and stop talking to mark our out points. Now I'm going to hit the home key just to move my playhead to the very beginning of the clip, and there's a couple of great keyboard shortcuts that you can use to zoom in. It's the Command plus and the Command minus keys, and I like to use the ones directly to the left of the large delete key on my keyboard. So if I hit Command plus, you see I'm zooming in a step at a time to my audio waveforms. I also see a black line that's getting bigger and bigger. Let me move that to the center. That black line represents 1 frame of video. Final Cut Pro can actually edit down to a 1/30th of a second when it comes to audio. As a matter of fact, if I want to intra-frame edit my audio, I can go down to 1/100th of a second. Not bad for a video application. Now if I want to zoom out, I go Command minus, and it will step me back to a more global view of my audio. Another great keyboard shortcut that complements the Command plus and Command minus is the Shift Z keyboard shortcut. What this will do, it will zoom out and fit everything inside your viewer window, which is great when you're dealing with longer narration bites. With a 30-second clip like we have now, it's easy to go back and forth and find where the narrator starts and stops talking. But if you have about 20 or 30 minutes of voiceover that you're working with, being able to see it globally and jump to a specific point can really speed up your workflow. Now these keyboard shortcuts are great for working with audio in Final Cut Pro, but I also use them in other parts of my edit workflow. As a matter of fact, if I'm working in my timeline, the same keyboard shortcuts of Command plus and Command minus allows me to zoom into specific clips or specific areas of my timeline. And Shift Z will show me all the clips in my timeline and make it a perfect fit. So if I'm zoomed way out, Shift Z will bring me in. And if I'm zoomed way in, Shift Z will zoom me out, showing me all the clips on my timeline. Now here's a secret keyboard command. Let's say I want to zoom in to just a couple of clips in my timeline. I can select them, hit Shift Option Z, and I zoom in just to that selection. Now let's go back to our viewer window and mark an out point for our narrator. We're going to have this narrator start talking from the very beginning of the clip.
It's the most unforgiving place on earth.
But I'll probably want to stop him after he finishes his first set of phrases. Now if I take the mouse and I move it left and right through the clip, I'm going to be doing something called scrubbing. And this is very useful when trying to find exactly the phrase that you want to edit in or edit out of our narrator. And if you need it to be even more precise, you can zoom in and really get that fine control when scrubbing through your clip. Let's go ahead. We can visually see where the end of his phrase is. I'm going to mark an out point, and now we're ready to bring this clip into our timeline.